Yeah, we're live.
Google Chrome is shit.
All right.
Let's get Navigator for the win.
Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 153 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, October the 1st, 2019.
That's some quality live editing there.
Just read your bit.
All right, I'm Marty Hunter and sports shooter in rural Southern Ontario.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a husband, father of 3, a sports shooter, and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. And I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants.
I'm Tyler, competitive shooter, compulsive gun flipper. I just put like 5 on the equipment exchange today. I'm a father and a new husband. And I also co-host a famously low-effort podcast known for constantly breaking promises to its listeners.
No kind of contempt for the audience like your kind of contempt for the audience.
It's extreme contempt. The contempt is hot and heavy, and it starts pretty much immediately.
This from the guy broadcasting from inside a tuna can.
Leave my tuna can out of this. As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical.
Did you get your microphone in a case of Budweiser?
I swear to God, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show or my shitty audio while I'm on the road. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email me at some random Airbnb that I'm staying at this week. You can find the show on the internet, Stitcher, iTunes, etc.
You can check the podcast out at Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com. You're probably doing important stuff.
See what guns have posted.
I thought you were doing important stuff like actually reading the news so you could have an informed opinion.
We could do a segment on what guns I have for sale at any given time.
Yeah, I think that's a valid segment.
Yeah, you'd be good for killing the 45 minutes. We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Oh, I was doing so well. And follow the link on the right.
All right, before we do my favorite segment, we're going to address my terrible audio. I apologize. I'm on the road for work this week. And when I got to Vancouver today, I don't normally operate in British Columbia, but I arrived and I went to my hotel to check in and found out that they'd sold my room out from under me.
Oh, those damn Brits.
So, yeah. An hour of phone calls and scrambling later because no one that does travel for our office was in the office because it's like 9 o'clock Eastern time, so all the same people went home. I finally found an Airbnb that could do an immediate check-in. But they were still cleaning while I got here, so that was super fun. They're done now, I think. So apologies for the tuna can sounds. I forgot all my crap. I'm doing this without a headset or proper microphone, just on my laptop. But hey, I have beer.
And they were huge fans, and they talked your ear off for like 25 minutes about great ideas for the show. So
yeah, that's definitely it.
Yeah. So where are you? You're out in British Columbia. I assume the streets out there must just be filled with tea bags and crumpet ends.
Well, I tried to stop by Rod Giltaka's, but he was not home.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd be doing the show from his couch instead of someone's basement couch. But hey, make it work. Yeah, Vancouver. It's as terrible as you imagine.
Giltaka is probably in Ontario telling some poor bastard that his province is ugly.
Yep, I've never been screwed out of a hotel reservation in Ontario, so take that, BC. Suck it. Let's do What Are We Drinking? Every week, Arrowhead Coffee brings us What Are We Drinking? Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you, no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. Let's do What Are You Drinking? We'll start with Tyler. Tyler, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a cold frosty Belgian Moon. You know, I like my wheat beer, and I drank myself dry last night, and I asked Rachel to pick up a case of podcast fuel earlier today, so she brought me back my favorite.
Nice. That is
Delegate.
a good wife you've got yourself there. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who's next? Marty, what are you drinking?
Spice box whiskey tonight with Coke syrup.
And that leaves Tim. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Coors Banquet this evening.
Ah, the official beer.
The official beer.
Always a good choice.
I am drinking beer that I found that had a BC label. It's from Granville Island, whose beer I've had before, but never the Maple Shack Ale. I'm not really sure that I get the maple, but it does taste like cream ale, so I'm going to have a bunch of it because today sucked.
You know, Granville Island is yet another left coast lie. It's not actually an island.
It's a peninsular.
That's right.
I'm from a peninsula, but we had the fucking decency to call it a fucking peninsula. And they didn't mean the maple, like maple syrup flavor. They just mean it tastes like the wood maple.
That explains some things.
It tastes like a maple shack.
With that quality dining table in your Airbnb there.
I am sure that is the most quality birch and or pine table I have ever seen.
Just smell the glue.
All right, let's do upcoming events. We have 2 upcoming events to talk about. First one, Ragnarok Tactical's Ragnarok Tactical is hosting a tactical first responder trauma course October 13th and 14th. Like, that's soon. It'll be in Mississauga. The course fee is $450 US. It's payable to Spent Brass Training Solutions LLC out of California. Their lead instructor, Chris Valenzuela, will be coming up to teach. It's going to be
Socialists, eh?
Well, he's not a socialist. He's a cool dude. He just happens to live in California for reasons that are unclear to me. But this is going to be the most tactical trauma course you can get in Canada without, like, you can keep C in the military, because it's all about plugging gunshot holes and applying dressings and using tourniquets and care under fire. And it stands to be a very, very good time. I think I have to shoot a pig prior to the course so I can bring in an example of how internal ballistics work. So I'm excited about that.
Do they teach you how to stand watch while your buddy steals all the toilet paper?
I don't think so. That's probably only applicable in California.
Well, I thought all the Venezuelans were socialists.
No, his name is not Venezuela.
Is that not an East Coast lie?
Moving on.
It's called a callback.
Ragnarok Tactical is sponsoring a 22 precision match at the Guelph Run Gun Club on October 27th. The match fee will be $40. It'll be 50 rounds, 5 stages, distances from 0 to 100 yards. If you have more than one magazine, that would be beneficial to your success.
Hey, give me a breakdown of where the targets will be so I can adjust my zero accordingly.
They'll be
Between
downrange.
0 and 100 yards. If you want to be really specific, it will be between 0 and 90 yards because the range approval recently was adjusted.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's okay. I also learned that it was actually only approved to 50 before that, so this is almost double.
That's like an 80% increase of what you should have been able to. Yeah.
So, Golf Run Gun, good time. It's going to be
anyone that's not done a 22 precision rifle match, what is required from a gear perspective?
Bring a rifle, with or without an optic, but with an optic would be considered beneficial, and a magazine. More than one if you have it. It doesn't matter if it's semi-auto or bolt-fed. I don't care. We're using the Canadian Precision Rimfire Series rules on classes. There's a factory class, so your gun is less than $500 MSRP this year, and your optic is less than $500 MSRP this year. Open is if you spend more than $500 on either of those items. Easy peasy. We're not differentiating between semi-autos and bolt guns. If you want to bring a lever gun or some other weird-ass thing, hey, it's your $40, go nuts.
It should be $500 ARP. I knew a guy who used to say that a lot.
ARP?
The average retail price.
Well, that gets into a weird thing because ARP is not an actual value. MAP and MSRP, but street price is super variable. So as long as we're above the in any event, I'm using the CPRS rule. So take it up with Rick. It's his rule book.
I probably won't.
Fair.
How big are the targets you're shooting?
Clay pigeons. So whatever that is, 4 inches, 5 inches.
So literally any ammunition will get the job done.
Literally any ammunition. But I'm throwing a twist into this because it's not the CPRS. This is an Outlaw 22 match. This will be for time. So if you get your 10 targets and you do it in 10 seconds, you beat the guy that gets 10 targets and does it in 2 minutes.
Ooh.
And there will be an upper bound on the time because after 2 minutes, I'm cutting your ass off. You're done because we got shooters.
Right, what is the maximum round per stage?
It'll be up to 10 rounds. It'll be 5 stages, 50 rounds. Figure bring 2 boxes of 22 in case you got to do a reshoot or a makeup or some nonsense.
And is this limited or unlimited? Like you get 10 rounds and that's it, or can you just keep feeding that bitch till you knock them down?
My plan right now is to do unlimited, but I will write the course of fire descriptions when I am not in random people's basements in Vancouver. And I'm considering putting in a limited stage or 2, just for fun, like a know your limits type stage where you must do this in less or 10 rounds or less, something like that.
Yeah. But I'll figure out how many 22 shorts I can fit in my tube-fed cooey.
All of them. You can fit all of the 22 shorts in your cooey, but it has to still break the clay.
Are the clays moving?
No, I have no plans to have the clays moving at this time.
No airborne clays. All right.
So, the plan is to have static clays in various target holders at various distances. And the reason that we're using clays is because I don't want to shroud steel. Steel is a pain in the ass in Ontario on Section 29 range. So in order to get around all of that and still have a reactive target and make easy resets, clay pigeons, because I'm lazy.
I approve.
I'm glad. I was really hoping that you would approve, Marty. I seek your approval.
Well, I put out the call earlier today to tell some friends of mine to kind of spread the word about this match. So hopefully get some competitors from up my way that make themselves known.
I'd be very happy if Garth was there, since he was the what do you call that? The Owen Sound winner. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't the overall champion. He won production. I believe Brian with a Y was the overall champion.
Don't say things like that. Brian will start thinking his people.
Yeah, well, I was actually, when I was talking about this recently, I wanted to point out like the overall challenge of doing precision work with 22 long rifle, because that guy with the Y in his name, he was the top shooter and he still got less than 50% of his targets. So it's a very challenging discipline. So it's something new for everybody. I think people should give it a try.
I think so, and I want to try and make this match very accessible, so it's not going to be out to crazy long distances. It's not going to have a lot of crazy positions. Yes, I'm going to make people shoot from something other than a bench, but like there's unlikely to be a toy car there to shoot off of, right?
What are you thinking? Like that contraption that George Clooney built in Burn After Reading?
No, I was thinking more like a VTAC arcade.
Well, when you post the show, you should post a clip from Burn After Reading where George Clooney reveals the chair that he built. Then that joke will land.
Well, I will see if I can put that in the
Spoiler alert, it has a dildo that moves up and down out of the seat.
No, we don't. I'm I was just going to put a thing in the show note, but now there's good luck with that. All right, let's talk about past matches. That's, I think, why Tyler is on tonight, is he wants to brag a little bit.
No, I haven't even scrolled past what are we drinking, so I don't even know if what you guys want to talk about today. But yeah, no, we can talk about my ascendancy to championship or whatever. Sure.
if you would like.
I'm probably going to sell that gun. Where do you want to start?
You can
Well,
sell a gun?
Do you want to do the previous match, or do you want to do the most recent match?
Well, nobody on the panel took part in the shotgun match, so let's talk about the pistol match.
Okay, let's do the pistol match.
Yeah. Can't even find where we are.
I did see the results in the shotgun match, and you crushed it, bud.
Yeah, well, I don't. That looks like. I mean, like, thanks, great, whatever. But
there's a lot of new shooters on it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the level of competition is dramatically different. Like I had huge screw ups, that would have like dramatically cost me at like an OAS tier match. But because everybody that was there treated it as a fun match with nothing at stake, the attitudes and the enthusiasm towards running from position to position, that was all like reflected in that. So I don't want to, but I always kind of, take things like, full speed or whatever. Like that's just the way I like to be. So I think like what's reflected in the scores there isn't even necessarily an accurate reflection of the ability of the other shooters there. And the weather was terrible too, and some guys just really aren't used to shooting in somewhat cold, rainy conditions. But no, it was a good fun match, and we put together a relatively complex shoot. And I think we were somewhere in the neighborhood of minimum round count of 75 target, 4 slug. So it was good. It was a good small little match that we threw together kind of on the fly. But no, it went well. And my Versamax treated me well. Although when I got home to clean it, I noticed my charging handle's a little bit bent. So I got to get that rectified.
And how many stages was it? 75 rounds, how many stages?
It was 4 stages.
4 stages.
Yeah.
That's a good match.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. It's a shame because we obviously would have done more. Like our club, if we were going to do any major match, it's going to be shotgun, because we have like 9 different sporting clays bays where we basically have, over 180 degrees shooting, like 200 degrees shooting. We have one.
Well, the original plan, I was coming up with a trailer full of steel for it.
I know, but we just couldn't get the shooters.
Yeah,
it just wasn't meant to be.
Not the year for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were saying it wasn't the year for it. The turnouts were kind of low across the board. But I also think, we had been planning it for a long time, but we were a little bit late to the game, like advertising it. And we also like really didn't do our homework on the date that we had selected, because there was a USPSA thing in Michigan that ate up like 7 or 8 of our kind of higher end competitors, our kind of, high tier competitors out of Kitchener-Waterloo area. And then there was a 3-gun match up near Huntsville that ate up a lot of other guys they'd even messaged me, said, "Oh, I'm already kind of committed to this thing. Sorry, I can't come." I got a lot of that.
It's always a hard thing to find a weekend with not a major match.
Yeah. So whatever, but no, we had a good time. That worked out nicely. And then after that match was done, we wrapped her up, had a couple beers, and did a little bit of pre-setup for that pistol match the following day that Andrew and Tim could attend.
All right, so let's talk about that one.
Yeah. So
it was a lot more fun for me to be able to attend that one, since I wasn't at work like I had to be on Friday. Although I tried to get out of it, and I had to go to some hellhole in Quebec. There wasn't even any fishing.
Terrible.
Nice.
So tell us about your relatively new firearm that you decided to bust out on the range this weekend. So I thought it was pretty sexy. I had my misgivings, but it seemed to perform pretty all right.
It did perform pretty all right, even though it was on the Sabbath, which was hard for it, I know, but it's okay. I did the thing with the chicken and the swinging it around and stuff.
No, you swing the chicken to absolve yourself of your sins. What you do to get an exemption from the Sabbath is you string that like wire around the range, so it counts as a temple, right?
I knew I was doing something wrong. Now I have all these.
That's what they do in Manhattan and like certain areas.
Yeah, that's how New York works.
Yeah, the wire. That's I was talking about that. Not many people know about the wire.
Yeah.
So what we're alluding to is I shot my Jewish space gun. I've got a Tavor X95, the micro Tavor, And I bought that last year as a business expense, and I bought the 9mm conversion kit for it. I finally put the 9mm conversion kit in it on my one day that I had where I was doing a short shift at work instead of a 12-hour day. I only had like a 6-hour day. So I was able to figure out how to install the 9mm kit, stop at the range and zero it, and then go back to work. And it worked out very well, in my opinion. I'm quite happy with the 9mm kit in the Tavor. I have a 1 to 4 power variable optic on it. I do need to change the height of the mount on that optic. It is uncomfortable with the AR size mount. I'm going to need to find something that's more Tavor sized.
Does it need to go lower or higher?
Lower down.
It needs to go higher because the 4 inches of height over bore that I have are not enough. I need another inch.
Now, quickly, without going into the whole process, but switching the conversion kit for the Tavor, relatively painless or a pain in the ass?
And we'll be writing a strongly worded letter to Israeli weapon industries and enclosing a self-addressed stamped envelope with a check so they can send me the rest of the fucking parts.
Dude, you should include like a bloody piece of gauze and say the blood came from your asshole from when you did the caliber changeover.
So the caliber changeover was disappointing. It's not difficult, but it is not intuitive. And despite having the manual lacks a significant amount of information. So it's like, we'll do this, and the pages are non-sequential. So it's like, turn to page 87, turn to page 71, turn to page 64, turn to page 84, turn to page 61 again. And it's like, what the fuck is that? Just put all the steps in the order, but it's talking about each of the different sub-assemblies in the firearm. So it's how to disassemble and reassemble that sub-assembly, but not in the sequence that you actually do it in to do a caliber conversion. So the manual leaves a lot to be desired. The parts changeover itself wasn't bad. The barrel assembly is like 90% assembled, but you have to change over 3 or 4 major components, one of which I think is missing in my gun. So again, letter to IWI, because there's the top rail on the Tavor comes off the barrel assembly. Fine, whatever. There's like 2 hex screws that hold that in. They're like, or Torx? No, they're hex screws. That's fine. But the actual receptacle,
the six-sided star screws.
Yes, the Star of David screws.
This Torx screw.
No,
like 6 point or 6 side.
I don't know. I would have to go and look at it at home. I think it's.
We'll wait.
If it's a Star of David, it's a Torx screw.
No, it's not a Torx. It doesn't have enough points.
Okay.
Anyway,
when you opened up the instructions, were there like bagel crumbs that like fell out onto your lap?
No, it wasn't bad. Like, the instructions are not bad. It just is it's not intuitive, and the sequence for the assemblies is out of order in some spots. So like the process, I could do it again now without the manual, because now that I've taken the gun completely apart, it's entirely obvious. But trying to figure out how to take it completely apart, the very first thing I missed was you have to take the grip off. Because why the fuck would you take the grip off?
Yeah. So this is something, if they really wanted to, they could take a Saturday and just sit down and just hammer out a good manual.
Well, maybe not a Saturday, but yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a couple components you got to switch over from the barrel assembly. The thing that holds the top rail on, like the Picatinny rail, and the...
Well, I said don't get into specifics.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, changing it over, not bad. It probably took me something on the order of 45 minutes to do.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it wasn't bad. And I wasn't super impressed that I had to, like, reuse parts, because it was, like, a bunch of cheap parts. Just give me 2 of everything next time. So I'm just going to contact IWI and ask if I can buy those parts, because I just literally want...
It's an expensive conversion kit. You'd expect that all the parts are there.
Right. I wouldn't expect to reuse them. So that was fine. Zeroing it up was fine. I went to the range. I took 5 shots, measured the difference, moved the sight, took 5 more shots, called it 0. ran 10 rounds through every mag, dysfunction check it, and went to the match. Because that's how you do match prep, right?
What do you mean?
Exactly.
Match
it
what?
worked pretty well. You placed second in the division. Most likely second overall.
Yes. So second overall, I'm very happy with how the suit shoot ran. Your crew there did an excellent job as always. Top places in the match were Tyler, me, Gavin, all shooting PCC, and fourth place and first in stock service pistol is Tim.
Which is actually, according to the German guy, bullshit, because he was shooting all over the place.
I was shooting all over the place.
But
all over the place.
You look at the data, right? You look at the data and you look at the points down and you look at the number of hostage hits, etc. Like Tim is currently battling a gun that isn't working properly, and he still hit first. The other guy who shot cleaner but slower and also hit more hostages. That's the devil's in the details.
And that's what I was saying. Like a follow-up shot is like 0.24 seconds, whereas like a hostage hit is 5. So I can make 20. I can pull the trigger again. Like even a reload's like 3 seconds.
So to be fair to Z German, Tim and Z German had the same number of hits on the non-threats, and the Z German's time was 11 seconds faster. But he shot way more points down than Tim, not double, but way more.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Right. So if Simon could kill his hostages more effectively, if Simon could hit his notion more effectively. I recently learned that the CFO frowns upon us glorifying violence in the shooting sports. So we shouldn't call them hostage targets anymore.
And we don't shoot the target, we service the target.
If we're not going to call them hostage targets, can we call them CFO targets?
Yes. Oh, related question. Have any of you guys ever heard of the IDPA or classic metric being referred to as a Barney target?
No.
Yeah, no, me neither. I have no idea what these guys at the CFO's office are talking about.
Was there a CFO named Barney?
I don't know, but they said no human-shaped targets, and I'm like, what about IPSC metric and IDPA? And they're like, oh no, Barney targets are okay. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? So I took that to mean I can
CFO told you guys no human-shaped targets?
Sorry, say that again, Marty? I talked over you.
The CFO is mandating no human-shaped targets at your club?
Yeah, that sounds wrong.
One club at least one club that I'm aware of, the CFO has provided the direction that we are not to use human targets. And at another club that I'm a member of, rules like that are already in effect.
Yes, I was a member at that club for a while as well, but that's club board. That's just shooters imposing dumb laws on ourselves.
Is that range pro cancer?
No, that is not the pro cancer range. That's a different different group of clubs.
It's another shitty club. I
have in no uncertain terms from the CFO that at least one club that was recently inspected, of which I'm a member, is to not use human targets. And I was able to successfully write the rule book in such a way that we are not allowed to shoot humans. I don't think that was quite with the spirit of the instruction, but it's in keeping with the letter of the law, so no human targets.
Well, whatever. Fuck those
done,
guys.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah, that's.
So let's talk about the match. I just sent out an email to our other kind of regular match organizers earlier today, just to kind of brief them on how everything went. Because this was the first match where we had permitted the pistol caliber carbine division. And it was kind of expected that there were going to be a few hiccups along the way. The biggest one was the issue with the overall firearm length and manipulating it around barricades. A lot of shooters like to get up nice and tight with the barricades, and then in order to move along the barricade or whatever, there's a tendency to try and have the muzzle clear the barricade by just moving it up or down, rather than kind of bringing it backwards in your hands or moving your whole body backwards or whatever. So I did have to DQ somebody And one of the other guys, one of our other range officers, his response was, that guy should have been DQ'd from every match he's ever participated in because he's so terrible with his muzzle control. But other than that, I mean, shit, I actually felt like Andrew, because you're rocking a bullpup. I was using the CZ75 Shadow in a Hera Arms Triarii chassis. So you and I had a distinct overall length advantage when it came to manipulating our firearms around barricades and, through shooting ports. Whereas Gavin was using a non-restricted JR carbine and his friend Ben as well. So a significantly longer firearm. I thought that this is a whole new level of like a whole new discipline, essentially. Manipulating a pistol has always been very intuitive. I've attended many training courses, Ragnarok Tactical included, for pistol manipulation. It comes very natural to me, or at least it's like very, very well ingrained in my muscle memory. But doing a lot of this work with a rifle, with something with 3 points of contact, this is a whole new thing for me. So I found it pretty exciting. I don't know how you felt about it.
I enjoyed it. I think it was a good match. It would have been good with pistol. It was equally good with rifle. I definitely see the problem with why people from work are calling me right now. Do they not know I'm in the middle of doing a show and it's like 10 o'clock at home? I've already got an Airbnb. What more could I want in life?
You should just text him a picture of your penis.
Probably shouldn't. I mean, my employment's contingent on my good behavior, but I think that the PCC went well. I really would have preferred, I think, to have an AR platform because I do not have enough trigger time on the Tavor. How did you find doing the mag reloads into the grip of your pistol in your PCC? Was that?
Well, you would think there would be training scars because when you're holding a rifle, you want to send the mag a little bit forward of your weapon hand.
Right.
But because it's my pistol, my reaction, like my instinct, was to send it just right into my weapon hand to where it would otherwise normally go. I had kind of set my stock length, my length of pull. I had set it so that when I go to do that reload, my grip hand was right where it would otherwise be during a reload. So there wasn't much of a learning curve there.
So you just treated it the same way that you would load a pistol then?
Yeah. It was pretty.
On that note, like we mentioned, like last week we were talking about how I was running the FX9 at the range day. And the FX9, the grip on it was like kind of like a hollow grip. And I watched probably a third of the guys try to insert the magazine into the grip, even though it's a rifle.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that people find that natural because like you are used to with a pistol mag. That's kind of where you're used to throwing it in.
So from my perspective, like I just shot my SIG P226, but Andrew, like your manipulation in and out of the ports and around barricades was very quick. But of course, like your reloads were like noticeably tricky.
I have a bit of a complaint with the magazines that I have, and I think this is not a flaw or a problem. This is just something I have to figure out how to deal with. Is these ACS 10-round, they're Uzi mags or Colt SMG mags, whatever. They're significantly smaller than a Glock magazine, like significantly shorter. So I'm having a really hard time getting purchase on them to get into the mag well, the mag well, and hanging up on my other arm and stuff. And that's just, I think, something I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with because these magazines are very, very small. I also had a hard time getting them into my mag pouches sometimes because if they slid down into my mag pouch too far, I couldn't get it out.
Yeah. But other than that, like the follow-up shots and the rapid fire strings you guys were doing at the PCC significantly quicker and tighter than the pistol. Like you guys were doing like like doubles that were like a quarter inch to like an inch apart, whereas like the pistol guys were doing like 3/4 of an inch to like 3 or 4 inches apart, like depending on skill level and the speed they were running at. But
Yeah, that's the benefit of 3 points of contact. The
Yeah.
recoil impulse of the pistol caliber basically is non-existent.
100%. The follow-up shots were super quick. I'm sure one of you guys would have seen what my split times were on the timer, but I would have called that a 0.2 of a second on most of them.
Yeah, like if you're really...
Did you guys... go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're really in the zone running your pistol, you can get your splits down to like 0.14, 0.18 and still be accurate.
Yeah.
But otherwise, kind of in practice, when you're, when you're kind of falling victim to your own desire to kind of play the game well, you're looking for your hits, you're going to slow down to like 0.25, somewhere in and around there.
Yeah.
But with the rifle, when you're looking through your optic, you can see where your hits are, and it's just a double tap. Nothing moves.
Okay, so like you're not reacquiring sight picture, you're just moving your sights onto the next target, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But like there's some of the guys at the club when we get going on usually drills like a close up drills, like there's guys that do like 18 splits or 17 splits and like 0.32 transitions. Like it's just I don't know. Anyway, I guess like yeah, it was an excellent day. Like everyone, a lot of camaraderie and stuff like that. And I just again reminded of how lucky we are to have such an excellent little group of shooters that come out to the matches and practice nights.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to kind of reiterate Andrew's point about how kind of in the end you wish you had more of an AR type platform. I feel the same way. Even though my platform treated me fairly well. I was happy with the way it shot. It shot consistently. It's very comfortable to shoot. I still am drawn towards staying as consistent as I can across the board. I was really eyeing up Gavin's JR carbine just because it has, for the most part, AR style, geometry, and the control interfaces, except for the mag release, are basically the same. There might be other options out there for me. I was actually I'm really interested in the Rainier Arms 9mm receivers, the dedicated 9mm receivers. But, I guess the other drawback is then it would then be restricted. But, all my shooting is at a range. So, I mean, that's kind of it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
I was saying to Tim earlier, I've got a handful of guns that are suitable truck guns. The restricted, non-restricted thing is kind of, it's a non-issue really for me.
Which
out of curiosity, did you guys have any issues with the picking up the shots and the timers with the PCCs?
No,
none.
Yeah,
no. In fact,
so that's I shoot a lot of matches down in the States, and in the USPSA they have the PCC, and a lot of the compensators that those guys are running make them very quiet. And I'm not talking suppressors and all like that. Just the just like linear comp type things that they have on there. That are
Gavin is noticeably quieter than anything else on the range.
Yeah, all that
they're super quiet.
Yeah,
and so I've seen a lot of reshoots where the timers don't pick up the shots, or what happens is the RO has to get so close to the shooter to pick up the shots that the shooter will go to make let's say a rearward movement and run into the RO, causing a reshoot type of thing because the RO is so much like it. So they. In USPSA matches, I've experienced it's been a lot of reshoots of the PCCs. It tends to slow things down as a result.
It's interesting because we didn't have any trouble picking up the PCCs, but I did noticeably, and I'm glad I caught it. Like I caught a slide drop on my timer, which is the first time I ever did that. And I was like, and I went back and checked. It was actually 4.5 seconds. I could have burned some guy out if I just wasn't paying attention. But
same thing happened to me. Me yelling the time to Tim's sister, our scorekeeper, was picked up on the timer. So I had to go back. But yeah, no, that's part of the responsibility of being the RO. And also, that's one of the things that I really like about doing scorekeeping with practice score, like live, and having the shooter approve. Because then the shooter can observe the time that's on, before you hit, like you go to review and then you hit, like commit or complete or whatever. they did that for 1 or 2 matches at OAS, and I thought that was nice. And then that way, if there's any issue, you can bring it up then and there, and it can be fixed when everybody's memory is still fresh.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, though, that only helps you if you're an experienced shooter and you know what your time should be on the stage.
Yeah, I suppose. But
there's a lot of guys that have no idea what time. Like when they walk up to the line, they don't know how long it's going to take them to shoot that stage.
yeah.
And so if they see that it's 5 seconds slower than what they expect, they're going to go, sure, approve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. For me, and for the most part, people that I shoot with regularly, that might be an avenue through which you can avoid some problems. But yeah, I totally see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth going back and building on things. Tyler said some stuff I wanted to agree with or make comments about. The having in the AR style thing, I think would be beneficial. Unlike you, I don't have a myriad of firearms that are applicable to keep in the truck. I have shotguns and ARs, and the ARs are not really truck appropriate. The Tavor is my truck gun.
Do you ever keep it in the truck though?
Yes.
Okay.
The truck gun and a set of body armor and an IFAK and boots and on and on. And we should probably go over the stuff that you should keep in a vehicle, because we've talked about this a little bit before. I work a significant distance from where I live, and I would like to be able to get home if I'm ever in need of getting home from the office, because it's going to take me all day to walk there, but it's better than being stuck without my family. So have those things.
I mean, we could talk about that. You want to talk about that? You got time to fill?
Yeah, we could cut some news and talk about that. The other thing I did want to mention was the learning curve on the Tavor. While it was a little extreme, I really enjoyed stage 4, which was our second to last stage. There was only 5 stages on the match, and that stage I didn't have any malfunctions, and everything ran smoothly. And I finally figured out how to reload the Tavor correctly while I was doing stuff.
Yeah, that was Netflix and kill, wasn't it?
That was Netflix and kill, and that was the only stage that I came first on. It was the only stage I beat Tyler on.
Yeah. You beat me by like half a second.
You shot sitting.
But it's the only stage that I beat you on.
He beat me by half a second, and this is because Andrew devised a superior way to tackle the stage.
That's right, because I finally figured out how to do stage prep.
Yeah. There was nothing was specific. Okay, so you start the stage seated with your gun on a barrel, which is supposed to be your table.
Because you're
you're watching Netflix and you're cleaning your gun. And I like any red-blooded Canadian, I clean my gun while it's loaded. So the gun is sitting on the barrel, and Tim's stage, he just says, on the buzzer, you engage the targets in front of you before moving to, one of 3 different shooting ports. Well, Andrew decides to just grab his gun off the table and engage it while sitting, where every other jackass decides to grab his gun, stand up, assume a totally new shooting position and stance, and then engage the targets. So that Andrew picked up some extra time.
While decreasing his silhouette.
Yeah, while decreasing his silhouette, yeah. So his kneecaps take the hits.
Yeah, right in the cap.
Yeah, but no, that's, you look back at that and you're like, well, yeah, that's a no-brainer. He probably shaved a second and a half, 2 seconds off of his time doing that. If he had tackled it the way any other asshole would have, then he would have had I think your time was just over 16 seconds. You would have been 18, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think it would have been, and it worked out well for me that I didn't have any other issues. And I happen to have a way that I'm like, well, I don't have to do all that movement.
Yep.
Not moving is better. I'll do not moving. So, yeah, we could talk about truck gun stuff, get home bag type things if you guys want to do that. It's not in the show notes. We could, we have the power to edit that if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, no, just like final final thoughts on the match. I haven't really heard Tim say much about his experience. I know he was having trouble with his gun, and he's got an announcement to make, an announcement he can make tonight. But yeah, no, I had a really great time. It's always a good group of guys. The turnout was, somewhat low. We had 10 competitors to start with. The DQ'd one on stage 2 for muzzle problems. But otherwise, a high energy day, high tea day, and capped it all off with beer and wings. So it was a good time.
It's a solid day with good people.
Yeah.
Is Tim's announcement that he has a pistol up for sale runs flawlessly?
This is a match-winning pistol. That's for sale. But like mine was. I've had a Sig P226, and I think it was originally it was a German police research, and that was sold to someone in Canada, and they shot it for a while, and then I bought it. I've probably put like 5,000 rounds through it in the last couple of years, and it's just, the accuracy is just going away. Like I used to be able to do headshots whenever I wanted, like from any range up to like 15, 12 yards kind of thing, around barricades. It was just, the gun ran well, but the accuracy is where, the more I shoot, like like everything should get faster and better and more accurate, but it's just like the accuracy is going down. And then literally I just started doing some testing, and every different kind of ammunition you could imagine. I bought a new barrel for it because that was the first thing like I thought would be wrong, or maybe I shot the barrel out, or but you can shoot like factory reloads, other people's reloads, like different factory rounds, different shooters, all sorts of things that this thing just does not group. And at the match, it was to the point where like you'd be pulled up on the target, and you'd be like doing some shots, and you'd just like drop one in, the zero down, and then shoot again, and no idea where that round went. Shoot again, no idea where that round went. And they would be like going like 6-7 inches down into the left. And
yeah,
then,
that's what I observed.
Yeah, and then you just go like, you pull in again and shoot again with the same sight picture, and it would be like boom, right in the zero down, like right up near the other one. So anyway, I've just had enough. I've been fighting this thing for like 2-3 months, and I just pulled the trigger on a new Smith & Wesson MMP 2.0 from Select Shooting Sports.
Nice. Supporting the guy who supports us.
He's a great guy. Gives a lot of prizes to the charities and the the matches, and so I was glad to give some solid business to him instead of like a magazine here or there, kind of thing. So.
And just to throw this out there, Tim's been kind of working on this issue for months. We've noticed the deterioration in the accuracy of his gun basically since the beginning of the summer. And so Tim's an experienced shooter. This isn't like some asshole who shows up and says, well, my gun shoots 4-inch groups. I think there's something wrong with it. But then, you give it over to a guy who's, got a kind of a few more miles under wheel, and he can shoot a nickel-sized group with it. Tim, it's not Tim, it's the gun. He passed it around between 2 or 3 other shooters about a month ago.
Very accomplished shooters.
Yeah, and we couldn't make a group worth of shit.
Yeah, but then I grabbed Don's MMP 2.0, and I just boom, like 1-inch groups. Like it's just like,
yeah.
And I was just like, God damn it! And then these things, if anyone's looking for a decent pistol, I think Select also has the best price on it in Ontario that I know of, and it's you can get a 2.0 right now for like $549.
Nice.
This is a good price.
Yeah.
Rachel's got the M&P 9 Julie Goloski edition, the breast cancer one with the pink grips.
Oh yeah.
And,
I got the Amy Fisher version.
I don't know who Amy Fisher is.
Yeah, I guess you don't. Sorry. I'm old.
I just wanted to highlight the differences between the 2.0 and the original run of MPs. The 2.0, in my opinion, it's a little bit tighter. The grip texture is far, it's a totally different animal. It's so much better. The trigger is a totally different animal as well. It's like the original MP 9s require, in my opinion, they require the Apex Action Enhancement Kit to make them like decent shooters. Give them a nice tactile reset, nice short pull, crisp break, nice light crisp break. The MP 2.0, it's an improvement to install the Apex kit, but I don't know if it's really worth it. So, I will say that. I think out of the box, it's one of the better pistols out there, especially considering like a Glock 34. Like their competition model is like almost twice the price. It's like the fuck out of here. 2.0 is the way to go.
Okay.
Only thing you're going to find yourself like wanting to replace immediately would be the sights, I would think.
I don't know if Dawn sights look work pretty well, and I just like so I'm not in
What's it
a
called?
hurry.
It's not like the 3 dot sides or nothing, is it?
Yeah, no, his is I think we're just solid black, but like
Yeah,
numbers
that's fine.
numbers in our group, he has like a fiber optic sights with the orange at the front and the green at the back, and he really likes those. So I'll play it by
If you
ear, do
can
a
go
little
with
bit here.
just a fiber front, that's always nice. I wouldn't go with the
Yeah,
personally. I wouldn't want the green on the
green at the
back.
back.
That's the
Well,
way
that's
I
what
do
It
it.
becomes too much.
That's
I
why
do
had
red
my
front,
again,
black
red
back,
and
solid black back.
Yeah, fiber
Yeah,
optic.
exactly. That's a good combo.
Exactly.
So I did some interning. Amy Fisher, I remembered it was back in 1992. She was a 17-year-old who had an affair with her mechanic, and then went and rang his doorbell and shot his wife with a 25 ACP. But she survived. But that's my little MMP.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, you said
What does that have to do with the M&P?
you had the Julie Gillespie or whatever.
Okay,
edition.
so you
No,
went from,
Rachel
like,
has the
Masters
Julie edition
to
of the MMP, and I said,
random.
"No, I have the Amy Fisher one."
Fuck's sake.
All right then.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Shenanigans.
I got to re-beer, guys, so you guys can set up the next topic.
Yeah. So what are we doing? Are we doing news or are we doing?
Let's
truck
do. We got YouTube feedback. That was some good news, and it's hot off the press news. Apparently, Quebec ousted the Liberals, and they are not a liberal province anymore. So let's.
Hey,
Nice.
That's good.
There was some
Get back to
question as to whether or not the concessions in the NAFTA agreements was going to impact that election or not.
Yep.
So there
So
was some theories that the delaying and going right to the October 1st deadline was to try to avoid the impact on the Quebec elections, but apparently did not work.
okay, so do we make a decision? Are we doing the news, or are we talking about stuff to get home with?
I have not. I've been pretty busy with other things this week, so I'm not up on news at all. But
Okay, well, we can do this.
I don't think there's nothing in the news here that needs a big backstory, though. It's all pretty.
Well, let's.
I think you could say like the Canadian forces can now have beards and pot or something like that.
Yes. Those top three stories in the deck are the three that I cared about. So there's a Can4Gen announcement came out this week. Can4Gen's Canadian Forces General Order. It's an order that goes out as a memorandum to all members. There are authorizations for more members to be able to wear beards under more conditions than they have previously been able to do. Members have been able to wear beards under certain circumstances for a while, particularly the Navy, anytime that they're not deployed on a warship at war. They're allowed, like Navy personnel are allowed to grow beards, as are certain members of the infantry, particularly the pioneers. So those are a specific type of combat engineer. And there are other exemptions that have been granted in the past. Now it's no longer an exemption; it's just a grooming standard. So you can grow a beard, provided that your CO allows you to do that, as long as you've been in long enough to do your DP1 training. So, like, you can't go into basic and go through basic with a beard, but like once you get to your professional development, your what do they call it? Developmental period 1, DP1 training. Then you can start growing a beard, unless you have operational requirements to prevent you from doing that. and commanding officers of units have been directed to minimize those requirements. So unless they're doing chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear warfare type stuff, or firefighting, or something else where they have to wear like a respirator or a mask, then members are supposed to be allowed to grow a beard, provided that it's not in excess of 2 centimeters. That's roughly as exciting as it was when it was in the Can-4 Gen 2, so I think I did a pretty good job on that.
Well, all right then. Let's move
And
on.
then same thing when it comes to weed, they're basically it's the same as alcohol. That's more or less the way I'm reading it. They're allowed to partake in it as long as it's illegal use of it, and as long as they're not showing up the job high.
Yeah, so there are rules around this, and I would have to go back and look in what the Queen's Regulations and Orders say about the use of alcohol. But I feel like these are pretty in line because it talks a lot about like 8 hours prior to expected duty and stuff. I feel like that's the same kind of stuff that alcohol had. I'm a little out of date on that, so somebody's probably going to correct us. Send me your hate mail.
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that seemed unusual. Like it all seemed pretty common sense. Like, don't show up to work with guns high. Don't smoke while high. Don't try to import or export marijuana into other countries. Like, don't be a fucking retard. On your own time, go ahead. It's legal now. Go for it.
It's like you shouldn't handle firearms while under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, I don't know. I didn't see anything like that was particularly crazy here.
Yeah, I'm good with this. This is, I mean, if we're going to legalize it, then that's great. The military is allowed to partake in the now legal substance, and there's nothing.
Yeah, if it's legal, it's legal. So.
There's nothing crazy in here. I think 8 hours for regular duty, 24 hours for anything that's heightened risk. So if you're playing with guns, explosives, doing EMS or firefighting duties, things like that, then you have to be sober, not having smoked marijuana for 24 hours. And I think if you're doing a deployment, you have to be clean for a month.
All right, what else do we have in the news? We're running through the news pretty quickly here. Drive clean is gone.
Yeah, no more drive clean on Ontario. That's a good one. Doug Ford kept it. This was an election promise, was it not?
I don't know if this was.
I'd never heard of that before, but it's a nice bonus. Tyler, you have a nice drive clean story.
Oh yeah.
I think promise so much is that he said that he was going to cut useless spending, and this is, was it 30 million?
It's not so much useless spending as it is imposing spending on regular people. Generally
but it's
speaking,
not because they made it free. The Liberals made it free.
Oh,
right. So when the program was originally introduced under the Conservatives, it wasn't free. And the Liberals then lowered it and then subsidized it.
Okay, now you guys aren't understanding Drive Clean. Getting the Drive Clean certification, getting the Drive Clean test may have been made free, but being compliant to get the certification most certainly is not free.
The testing is, I think, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
the standard that your vehicle is held to, the only municipalities could opt in and opt out, right? And in Northern Ontario, it was like a blanket, like you don't have to abide by this, because Northern Ontario has kind of always been regarded as an economic backwater, and that they just could not bear, yet another forceful government program, that would potentially make them spend, thousands of dollars on their vehicles or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway,
we don't think of the children up here.
Yeah. But, it's just funny that like a government program is viewed as crippling to a family in one geographic area, but not in another. And so I had a pickup that didn't pass the muster. So, they wanted, thousands and thousands of dollars done to the truck. And I was like, well, fuck you. It's register the name of my company. So I'll just move the company HQ to a municipality that doesn't participate in the Drive Clean program. And then did that. and then the truck was fine.
But you had to take 2 days off work to go.
Then Ontario put a little, golden halo around the truck, and it was good.
Yeah.
No, but going to Ontario, Service Ontario, that is a miserable experience. I would not wish on my worst enemy.
I think you said there's a huge lineup, and you were there waiting, and the guy came in the door behind you.
Yeah. So there was like a lineup like 18, 20 people long, and it like did not move in like an hour. And there was like a class of young drivers doing their thing. I'm sure none of those people amounted to anything. Like just a crushing, overwhelming weight of misery and disappointment just permeated throughout the room. And some guy comes in, and he looks at the line. He just looks around. And he sees, of course, the lineup. There are like 3 kiosks, but only one person is working. And he just says, "Fuck this! I'll take my chances with the cops," and left.
And if he's in the area, he's probably doing fine.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Amazing. I'm good with this. This is supposed to save us like $40 million a year, something like that.
40 million, yeah. So I thought it was 30, 40 million, something like that.
Jesus,
And
that's like
at the same time, he is going to be looking at. They did announce they're going to be looking at sort of implementing some sort of environmental standards on heavy equipment. So like transport.
Think about how many
type
terrorists
stuff.
we could set up for life with that money.
That's what I was just gonna say. That's like 4 terrorists we could set up. Yeah.
Think about how many giant inflatable ducks we could buy for that money.
Oh God.
Well, sorry, not buy, lease.
It's like 400 or something.
It's a lot of ducks.
The Dutch will be furious.
Let's leave the news there for now, since Tyler was on and brought it up. Do you guys want to talk about the get home truck gun stuff?
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Down.
Yeah, I think that's.
Let's do that. I do have some stuff that I want to bump to next week. We'll talk about the military justice thing and the Toronto police thing, and hopefully we can do a bunch of financial stuff, because I want to talk about NAFTA that came out today. And at the same time, the Ontario government discovered that the previous Ontario government might have left a slightly larger deficit than they had previously that they left.
No way.
But I want to read more about those things, so maybe we'll defer those. Let's talk about crap that'll keep you safe instead.
I bet, for the Liberals who did not meet the pension threshold, they're going to come out with a cookbook on book cooking. No, really?
Yeah, I landed flat.
Damn it!
Sorry.
Sorry, man. Happens to the best of us.
Whatever. Highlight reel.
Yeah.
There's nothing funnier than a terrible comedian.
Yeah, look at Amy Schumer.
Or Amy Fisher.
Is she the? I was gonna say, is she the one that shot her mechanic boyfriend's wife in the face at the 25?
Joey
Yes, is an applicable answer, but I'm not positive in this situation. All right, so crap that'll get you home, because I guess we're just going to kind of do this off the cuff, but Tyler brought it up. What do you have in your work truck, man?
Oh man, any given day it might be something different. But I look at it on a criteria basis. So you said you're talking about the Tavor. I think practically speaking, hauling around a rifle, all the magazines, ammunition, plate carrier, etc. That's something that you might do for like a week, and then you're probably going to get complacent because nothing bad happened to you in that week. So I like to keep it simpler. That's why I picked up this Marlin 1894 Cowboy. It holds 10+1 shots of 38 special, so I could load it up with 158 grain hollow points and have a decent mag capacity. And there's no magazines to haul around, no nothing. It's nice and slim. It's not bulky. I can slip it into a backpack. I can slip it in behind the seat. It's nice and concealable. In terms of investment, it's relatively low. It's about $1,000.
It's not a very proven design, though.
No, not at all.
It's only been around for 123 years or so.
Exactly. Although out of the box, this gun didn't function worth a shit.
Wow.
I had to take
around lately though.
I had to take the whole thing apart because the asshole that put this gun together never beveled, like never chamfered the magazine tube. So it was just like whatever the tube diameter is, and whatever the tube wall is. That was just a flat face. And 38 Special and 357 Magnum, those are rimmed cartridges, my friends. So they hang up on that flat face. So I had to take the whole thing apart, bust out my Dremel, Tyler's home smithing, and radius that bastard. And then, clean her up, polish it up with like 320 grit sandpaper. And then I like to do a cold blue followed by spray paint that I cure with a propane torch. And that seems to be a very durable finish because that's what I did to my shotgun, my Versamax lifter. And the finish on the receiver has worn away before my treatment to the lifter. So that seems to be holding up pretty well. But yeah, so it's a fairly light gun. It's pretty short overall. It's like 34 inches. It's been pretty good. But I dabble in other flavors of the same gun. Like I picked up a 20 gauge shotgun with an 18.5-inch barrel. I put a +3 magazine extension on it, so I got nice capacity. But the same principle applies. There's no magazines to haul around. It's just a box ammo in the glove box, or in the side saddle, or in whatever flavor might please you. Same thing with an M1 Garand, right? Everybody here except Marty has a functioning M1 Garand. The same principle applies. No magazines. You just have like a clump of ammunition, and the gun works. It's slim, it's compact, relatively light, and the investment is relatively low. That's my philosophy. But I appreciate the philosophy that Andrew brings to the table with like the whole combat kit. But I feel like that's kind of more of a, like I said, a combat kit rather than just a truck gun. I don't know.
But another truck gun you used to use that's very similar was the SKS.
Yes, the SKS for the same reasons. It doesn't have detachable magazines. Because if you're going to have a gun with detachable magazines, having just one kind of defeats the purpose of the gun having detachable magazines, right? The whole point is that you can reload it quickly. You have ammunition ready to go to insert into the firearm.
Yeah, and an SKS will function in any Canadian weather.
I have killed an SKS in Canadian weather. It was -34 degrees and whole action locked up. But
was that Rem oil?
It was Rem oil, yeah.
No,
I had to break the action open with the heel of my boot.
There you go, sir.
But it probably would have worked after that.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from, Tyler, and I did play with the idea of keeping the Garand in the car, but I am not as versed on that system as I am on the Tavor, because like I had mentioned earlier, I bought the Tavor for my tax shelter because I wanted to start running Tavor courses with this IDF guy that we know.
It sounds like an Andrew problem. It sounds like you're wrong and you should fix yourself.
I am wrong and I should fix myself, but I am more comfortable on the Tavor than I am on the M1, right?
Well, the Garand doesn't have magazines per se. It does still have a similar issue.
Well, yeah, but for sure, yes.
You got to throw your bandolier with your ammo, and that's fine. And
in terms of investment, like I'm talking about what would deter you from making full utilization of your truck gun. In terms of investment, a clip for the M1 is like $2.50, $3.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. But I already had PMags for my Tavor, and now that it's in 9mm mode, I'm probably going to keep the 9mm mags and do that because that's a whole lot more bullets if I need them.
Capacity, sure, yeah. No, totally makes sense.
Right, and that's kind of my argument right now is like, if I need it, because for a while I was rolling with an 18-inch shotgun, and yeah, it's like, I don't know, 7+1 or 8+1, something like that. But shit weighs a lot, so I have 8 of them.
Yeah, that is the biggest drawback. That is why I kind of moved away from the shotgun, is the size and the weight of the ammunition. Shotgun's super effective, especially, the racking of the pump also is a huge deterrent.
I agree with that.
That says, yeah, don't cross me in every language. That says I mean business in every language. But you achieve the same effect with the lever action too. It sounds pretty similar.
I mean, I would argue that me pointing a gun at you is like universal code for me telling you to fuck right off.
Yeah, pointing the gun though requires you to be face to face with somebody who potentially has the means to do you harm. The racking of the action that's almost universally recognized is a warning issued before you're necessarily in harm's way.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not sure that I.
No, I'm just saying, like, these are factors that should be considered in what you're looking for. This is not like a what is best. It's what are the characteristics of different options for the listener.
Now, that being said, if we're talking about a get home, the question is, are you looking at purely a defensive situation, or are you also looking, a hunting situation as well?
Search and destroy. Well, Andrew and I could tell you a few things about getting out of the vehicles armed and ready and going to investigate and seek out and do whatever harm is necessary type of situation. I seem to remember a situation 2 or 3 years back when we thought we heard some screaming coming from a neighboring property.
Oh no, there was no thought. There was 3 grown, sober adults that agreed we heard screaming.
That's true.
Mostly sober adults.
Yeah, two sober, 1 Tyler. But yeah,
right,
no, we flew down there, and what was the only firearm available at the time? It was a Mossberg 500, an 8-shot Mossberg 500.
And you know what? I will take an 8-shot Mossberg 500 every day over no gun at all.
And I brought that firearm for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was that exact situation. And all I had was 250 rounds of buckshot.
Practically naked.
And I'm glad that I had it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure that we handled it the best way possible in hindsight, but we handled it. And
whatever. No one died. It was fine. But
that you know of.
That's what counts. No, so. I mean, that experience for me was kind of one of those things, and it was like between that and then when they started shooting up cenotaphs, like, yeah, I think I'm going to keep a gun in the vehicle now because f all of this. Like, I get a home kill on an ISIS. I'm 100% down. How do we make that happen?
Hell yeah.
Right, like. So yes, okay,
let's talk about the legality side of things.
All right.
Because that is something that does come up on the internet. That does something come up on the internet is, okay, are you storing? Is it storing? Is it transport? Which laws apply?
Okay. So let's say I get up in the morning. I generally wake up at 5:45, make my coffee, might hit the weights, might take the dog for a long walk, whatever. I start my day, I get into the vehicle, and I head to work. That's when the gun enters the vehicle. So the gun is not stored there overnight. It is stored indoors. And once it enters the vehicle, it is then being transported to a place. The Canadian law stipulates that when you leave said vehicle, the gun must be hidden from view if if your vehicle is equipped with like some sort of like strong box or whatever the firearm is technically supposed to be stowed in there. But in my case, I don't have that, so the gun must be hidden from view. So I just take a hoodie sweatshirt and then drape the hood over the muzzle, covers the entire firearm, and that's the way it remains, unloaded, hidden from view, all day. But it remains accessible to me.
That being said, a lot of people that refer to truck guns. So the way you're doing it, I think, is 100% correct. Now, a lot of people, the way that refer to truck guns, it's put in there once and then not touched or moved out of the vehicle.
I know plenty of those guys too. There are. I don't believe there is a settled legal school of thought I would argue
Agreed.
personally that if you kept your gun permanently in your vehicle, if that vehicle was stored in your garage enclosed as a part of the home overnight, then you would be free and clear. However, if it was stored outside of your domicile in your driveway, you would have issues.
Yeah,
I'm
unless you're a
inclined to
cop.
agree with that. And I have the same argument as Tyler. I don't leave anything of value in the truck. My work bag, my get home kit, my gun, everything comes in and out of the car with me when I go to where I'm going. The exception to that is because we are not allowed to keep firearms in the office. It stays in the parking lot in the truck, and I have an understanding with the appropriate people about that.
And just to be clear, to avoid angry listener feedback, this is our interpretation of the laws as they exist, not how we wish them to exist.
Right.
Well, no, if it was how we wish them
This
to
is
exist,
not our yes.
if it was how we wish them to exist, I'd be carrying all the time, everywhere, and then have something much larger in the truck.
I mean, with the nature of my work and the people who I work with, I'm not subject to the headaches that you are subject to, Andrew. I could probably carry out my day job with a rifle slung on my back, and no one would care. But I don't do that. I don't do that because it's not necessary, and it is, it would impede my productivity or whatever. But however, I maintain access to a rifle. I have easy access to a rifle 24 hours a day.
Right, and that's where I fall on this. Is like I'm not worried that I'm going to need it while I'm sitting at my desk. I'm more worried that on my drive home or on my drive in the morning or at some other opportune time, I'm going to come across a circumstance where I really wish I had something.
Yeah.
Since I happen to have the space in the truck, I would rather have it nearby, even though it maybe isn't on me, that it was nearby.
So you got to define your purposes too. Like a lot of the guys that I know that keep truck guns, and I'm talking about the guys that just keep the gun in the truck 24/7. Their idea of a truck gun is a gun that is suitable for an impromptu hunting session. So we're talking like a 22 WMR or a 12 gauge or a maybe a 270.
I don't see any problem with that, but
nothing wrong with that at all.
I know, but that's not my goal. My goal is I have 42 kilometers that I got to hump my ass home if for some reason I have to leave my vehicle in the office parking lot.
Yeah, totally. No, you and I are on the same page. My truck gun, I hunt rarely. I almost never have the time to hunt. Anytime I take a firearm anywhere, it is purely for defensive purposes. Like it is, I'm same attitude as you. I have to fight my way back to my family. I'll have the means to do it.
Well, exactly, and that's my thing. The most direct route from my office to my home is 42 kilometers, give or take a couple hundred meters.
Yeah,
and I want to have enough arms and ammunition to get past whatever thing is between me and my family. Mm-hmm. And I work in a large urban center, and I have to cross a couple of smaller, not urban centers, but there's a couple of smaller populations of people between my place of employment and my place of residence. So I want to make sure that I can get to where I need to go. And if that means that people are going to get shot if they're in my way, then that's what happens.
So I'd like to ask Marty and Tim, what they currently own, what they believe would make the most suitable truck gun.
I would say my Mossberg 590A1 or my SKS.
Are you referring to the SKS that you bought off of me this afternoon?
No, the other SKS.
I'm a 12 gauge fan. It'd be the Mossberg 535.
I like shotguns. The versatility you can get with the ammunition is important, I think.
I'm inclined to agree that the versatility with the shotgun is great, and if I didn't have to very far to go, having the options with the shotgun, that would be fantastic. My concern is I got a long way to go and a lot of people between me and where I need to be.
And actually, to answer the question better, in terms of what would I prefer, it'd be a pistol.
Yeah, low profile. That's what. Yeah.
It would be a pistol.
So just leave
If
for
I had to
work every
choose one,
day, planning on going to the shooting range when you're done.
yeah. But based on our current laws, and in terms of what I possess, because that was sort of the question, I don't have a non-restricted rifle that that'd
Au
be suitable.
contraire, my
So
friend, you have an M1 receiver. Should,
yeah, that's the problem. That needs to be
Put that
completed still.
that in your truck.
Yeah. With a trigger lock on
Yes. Oh God, yes.
it.
You could potentially beat someone to death with that receiver.
Yeah. And so for myself, it would be probably the Monster 535 be the most suitable. But given the option, if we didn't have ridiculous laws in this country, it would be a pistol.
Oh yeah, like I said, if we didn't have ridiculous laws, I'd be strapped and I'd be carrying a 9 every day. At a
But for
minimum.
me, seriously, like I would think SKS for affordability. You can stick a sling on it. It has a bayonet permanently mounted to it, unless you decide to take it off. The sights are robust, and like if you're not hitting anything like a man-sized target at 300 yards, then you just check your sight and put it on. Make sure it's on battle, and that's that. Like just
Oh,
the
man,
gun.
if you can't hit a man-sized target at 300 yards, you should probably just kill yourself and end it all.
Yeah.
But
I'll say one round for that.
the one thing I would add about the SKS suffers out of all the guns that have been brought up. Tavor with a 9mm conversion kit, a lever action with like a 10-round magazine capacity, a shotgun with a 7, 8, 9, 10-round magazine capacity. The SKS has the smallest magazine capacity of all, and the most readily available ammunition for it is FMJ. It is not the most lethal dose of ammo that the world has to offer. So your recommendation of the SKS is based on reliability and durability. Would that be a fair statement?
I think it's that's important, but also like if you needed penetrating power, then the SKS would be a great choice.
Oh, for sure, that would punch through anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, 123 grains with steel core will punch through any soft armor. And a lot
that
of
being said, like in my
both sides of a vehicle,
when I'm thinking of a get home situation, like I'm probably not overly concerned with threats 300 yards away.
For sure.
No, but out to 300 yards. Other than that, like the gun is just, to me, it's intuitive and
So it's definitely effective out to that range. But I'm just thinking like what in the most likely situation where I'm trying to get home, like I'm probably concerned about inside of 50 yards.
Well, what if you were on the Granville Island Peninsula and like you had to cross, like
No. My concern is
have to get by that one guy.
3 to 7 yards or a roadblock that I can see from a long fucking way off. Right? Because like I'm traveling.
If I can see a roadblock from a long fucking way off and I'm on foot with a gun, I'm going around the roadblock.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing is those are my two things that are going to be a concern. Is somebody that comes up to me that I didn't know was standing next to me, and somebody that's way the fuck over there that's not a problem for a long time.
Well, that's
where I'm sort of going with like shotgun, because it's effective as hell in that close range.
Yeah, but imagine this, Marty. Imagine you got some pocket binoculars, you scope out the roadblock, and you're like, I'm going to go around. But then you see at the last second, they have a Klondike bar.
Oh, shit.
Ooh. What would you do for a Klondike bar?
There's not a lot I wouldn't do.
I'd take that fucking roadblock.
I mean, like, I hope someday to be the guy installing the roadblocks. So
sounds like a good afternoon, really.
Yeah, well, when the day of the rope comes, I'm installing myself
especially if you have Klondike bars.
Yeah.
I would also choose to be the guy that has the Klondike bar.
We'll have Coors Banquet on
Coors Banquet. Yeah, and like I do agree with some of the fucking dirty hippies. Hemp will save the world.
We'll make our nieces from hemp. No, you know what we'll do? We'll make our nooses from the dreadlocks of people we've already hung.
If we don't like you, or if we really don't like you, you get the stinky rope.
But yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages to all these different firearms choices. I mean, obviously, number one, they have to be non-restricted. That's the non-negotiable part. In terms of ease of access, there are ways, I suppose, of saying, well, I'm going to leave every day for work intending to go shooting afterwards, and maybe if your work is sufficiently far away from your residence that you could probably legally make the case that it's reasonably direct or whatever, or maybe you don't care. It doesn't matter. But ease of access, assuming you're transporting it legally, kind of sucks. So for a non-restricted, you're better off. And, there are many non-restricted options that will rival the capacity of a pistol or exceed the capacity of a pistol.
Certainly. So I have a different tangent on this same tangent that we're going
on. Lay it down, man.
My wife recently asked me if she would have the money out of my wallet, and I told her no. That was my get-home money. So I keep a not insubstantial amount of cash on me or about my person when I'm out and about, with the theory of if the species hits the oscillating device, cash is probably going to have some kind of value long enough for me to get to where I need to be.
Yep.
Do you gentlemen also keep cash even though we live in the digital age?
I always keep $150 minimum. And then that way, that's 2 tanks of gas.
Yep, that was my argument. I keep $200 in my wallet in smallish bills, 20s or smaller, because if I need to negotiate with somebody to get a full tank of gas for my truck, they'll take $200 and fill up my truck, and I can get anywhere in Southern Ontario with that, and I'm good.
Yep.
Marty and Tim are both contemplating how they can.
To be honest, no, I don't. I don't carry cash with me at all. And to be honest, further, like being generally like 10-minute drive from my house, like working 10 minutes away is created quite a bit of complacency. But
but if you could make your own way home at those distances.
Yeah, but it just where I live, like it'd be a hell of a choke point. Like you have to go.
I don't know where you live. I know your address maybe from mail, but I've never been to your house.
Yeah, I know, but there's a huge choke point in Owen Sound where you have like three bridges to cross, like a river.
Yeah.
So like there's like 8th Street, 9th Street, and 10th Street. So like I'm gonna be going across one of those bridges, or I'm gonna go away.
We will control.
Yeah. We the bridges
so
now.
I do use cash with me. Honestly, I don't really think about it as much as like get home. Like it's mostly there for, I got rented duck blind. I don't need to stop at the bank on the way. Like I can just keep cash so that I can do for certain things that I just don't have to worry about having to stop at the bank on the way. But I guess it's also there could be used for that purpose as well.
Well, and that's my thing is like everything. Like I don't know the last time I spent cash money at a thing. Like probably the last time I was in Vancouver because the restaurant we went to didn't have a Visa card POS thing, and they were like, "You have to pay cash," and I was like, "Well, fortunately, I have that."
Mm-hmm. I tell you, I do. One thing I do always have in my truck is a shovel.
Very important. Yeah. Important in the winter, obviously important for other reasons.
I never thought about the winter. Yeah, I guess it would help.
No, but totally. I mean, I think Matt and I talked about.
So we're talking about certain things, but like, what about some things? Like, I always keep a rescue strap in my truck with me.
I need to get better at that.
Yeah, let's just go through our truck gear. Just that'd be fun.
I'm a little light on that. I don't have the appropriate gear to self-rescue or to pull someone else out of a ditch in the event that they half roll their truck over in the most weakest blizzard that you've ever seen.
In the softest of snowbanks.
Yeah. You don't carry soy sauce in your truck?
No, and I should work on that. I briefly looked at the recovery strap thing that Marty was talking about. I think we talked about this once before, and I got really intimidated and gave up because there were so many choices, and none of them were clearly like informing me as to what it was and how to use it. So I just sort of gave up instead.
So basically there's a rescue strap or a tow strap. They're two different things. Slightly different. One's dynamic, one's not. If you're not using it for towing, just buy a rescue strap, throw it in your truck, call her good. Better than not having anything.
Fair enough. Shall we run down the list? Do you guys have kits in your vehicles?
I have stuff in my vehicle.
For me, I don't keep a continuous kit, and it changes for me. So like come the wintertime, I add more, and then summertime I add less, as well as because for my job I cross the border frequently. I try to keep things very minimal in terms of what I have.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, in the wintertime, I keep a little pail of sand. I keep a couple of candles, spare fuel, usually a jerry can, like a 20-liter can of diesel fuel. I keep a basic med kit, and then, like I said, a little bit of cash. And then the aforementioned truck gun, which does change from time to time, sometimes depending on what I'm feeling. Like the M1, for example, has less capacity than my lever action, but it's quicker to reload because the ammunition's already preloaded in the on-block clips. Through it, obviously, it has a bigger punch than 357 mag. So yeah, it just totally depends on the situation. And then also, like one thing that we didn't quite touch on, I don't think any of us are just like taking a gun and then just throwing it in the main cabin of your vehicle. I keep my shit in a barrel stock gunslinger too. I don't know if you guys have packs or scabbards or whatever that you like to keep your rifles or shotguns in. But I like the umbrella stock gunslinger too because it's fairly nice. I used to have the X3 low drag, but I sold it off, and I got the gunslinger for increased capacity after finding a few shortcomings when Tim and I and Gavin did the winter bug out a year and a half ago. It's a nice pack, and it's got the nice long, same size scabbard. You can and then that also, if you throw the cap on the buttstock, you can kind of conceal the fact that it's a firearm, which saves you from dickhead Travelodge employees calling the cops on you.
That could never happen in Canada.
Yeah, never happened.
Yeah. So like some gear I keep, I have a pair of boots, I have a skivvy roll, minor first aid kit, hoodie, and a poncho, and 2 knives. I have a tiny little cheap folder that's always in my glove box, and then I also have like in my back generally I have like my K-bar or like a big fixed blade that I don't mind leaving in my truck for a bit, like my K-bar or my GI Tonto, which is actually
do a whole episode on knives.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Guns for show, knives for a pro.
Dead air.
I was on a magical adventure in the Airbnb. Apparently, we don't have towels in this place.
Just use old T-shirts.
Yeah.
Because I packed so many old T-shirts with me. Anyway.
Just use the T-shirt you're wearing, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to...
Sounds like an injured problem.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, stuff in the truck, which does need to be expanded, and I think I have permission from the wife to expand. I keep a fair bit of stuff in my work bag because my work bag is basically always with me. You guys have spent time with me. You have seen the black bag that I carry around all the time because I used to be on call all the time.
I know who you are.
Right. So the black bag of stuff, in addition to having my work computer and my work thingies in it, I also have a fairly comprehensive IFAK that I keep in my bag, at least enough for 1 or 2 major trauma incidents.
Well, this is something I brought up at the beginning of our match on the weekend. I said Andrew and Gavin have a lot of first responder training. I mentioned you two by name because I knew that you two not only would have the training, but the equipment on hand and available at the ready.
Yeah, well, and I mean at the ready-ish. Like mine lives on my work bag. So
that was in your vehicle.
Of IFAC, yeah, and it was in the truck because my
That's
work.
closer than an ambulance.
Well, and that's like my work bag is. I don't want to say it's always with me, but it's usually very close by. Like, I was at a shopping center today buying alcohol, and it was maybe 120 yards from me because it was in the parking lot.
Where'd you buy your alcohol? BC Liquor?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. It literally said liquor store.
BC Liquor is the government-owned one, and then there's private ones.
Oh, this did not seem like a government operation.
All right.
Far too efficient for that. It literally said liquor store. But I mean, like those are the occasions where I don't have my bag with me. Is it's like it's in the parking lot of the mall I'm in, or it's in the. That's really
also
because I don't.
Also,
on the weekend we went to the theater, like the movie theater. We went and saw some film, and it's the same thing. Like 120, 140 yards away is the parking lot with my truck with my stuff in it.
You're like trying to get shot.
No, we went to on a Sunday. There was no one there. It was great. We had like the whole theater to ourselves. But
there you go.
I have a fairly comprehensive IFAC. I keep tourniquets, bandages, pressure dressings, hemostatic agents like Quick Clot. I keep all of this stuff on my bag, ready to go. It's all stuff that I'm trained on and know how to use. I wish I had the interest to carry stuff that I wasn't capable of using. Like I really probably should put like a decompression needle and an MPA in my work bag in the event that I'm ever around somebody that knows how to act a decompression needle or a nasopharyngeal airway. Because I'm not comfortable sticking that shit down somebody else's nose because I don't really like doing it in my own. It's really uncomfortable. I should probably expand those kits, but I keep these things with me. The one thing that I do need to add that I've talked to the wife about, and I've started doing this now with one of my vests from work, is we don't keep high visibility reflective vests in our vehicles. I've started doing this in my truck now with my spare vest because I have 2 work vests now. So I keep my less good high vis vest in my truck, and I keep my good, like my work vest, with me for work. Because this is something that came up. We were first on scene at a minor accident in Perth County last summer, and it was just around twilight, and like after 15 minutes of being on scene, the OPP wasn't there, but it was darkened. Right, so now
you mean Sunset, not the shitty movie.
No, there were no sparkly ass vampires. It was
okay.
It was half an hour past sunset.
Okay.
So I now keep a spare high vis vest in my truck in the event that I need to be seen in less than ideal lighting conditions, right? There's some other stuff in the vehicle. I don't keep Tyler's fancy gun bag. I have just a regular soft case with magazines in the pouches on the side of the soft case.
But that Tyler fancy gun bag houses all that other stuff.
Right.
Put your med kit in there, your little, collapsible shovel. The quick deployable version of the chair that George Clooney builds in Burn After Reading.
I really wish we would talk about that film. No, and I do the same thing as you guys. In the winter, I keep more stuff in the truck. I keep a spare set of clothes. I usually, if I'm not wearing, I keep my parka in the truck because occasionally I have to dress nicer for work.
Lighter fluid, butane, whatever.
Yeah, spare stuff. Usually spare jerry can rides around in the back of the truck. It's not. I think you said you keep a 20-liter in your car.
Yeah.
I think I keep the 5-gallon container in the truck. Is what it is.
Well, that I usually put 20 liters in it because that's when the gas nozzle cuts out, but it'll hold 5 gallons. 5 gallons is like 24 liters.
Okay, so it's the same size jerry can then.
Yeah.
So that rides in the truck. I I've been back and forth on shovels because I don't have a shovel that I'm particularly happy with. But
Just
again,
get one of those collapsible pieces of shit because you'll never be happy with anything.
well, and that's the thing is like, do I get a piece of shit or do I like? So I've been taking an actual shovel in and out of the garage in the wintertime. So because I don't care, it's a full size F-150. Like I have the space for it. It's not going to hurt the fuel economy. So I just like load it to the tits and hope I don't have to use any of it.
Mm.
But I mean, we do that. We need to be better. And I've talked to the wife about this recently with like the advent of the why do you keep all of this cash money? Why are we not depositing this in the bank? And
the government can't get its hands on it.
Well, no, because we keep most of our money in the bank. And that was the thing. It was like, whoa, you have all this money. Do you want me to put it in the bank? And no, that's my emergency fund. So we do need to outfit the other vehicle better because like we both drive both vehicles, and my truck has most of that stuff in it, except for the stuff that's in my bag because my bag is with me. So that doesn't do her any good, right? And then on top of this, and Tyler, you'll have the same problem, and Tim, you'll have had this problem. I don't imagine so much now as years previous, but if you have babies, there's a whole other bag of crap you have to carry around with them.
Always.
Yep.
Yep.
Right? So like there's like changes of clothes and diapers and just like the normal baby stuff that you have to keep with babies. I don't know if it gets better or worse as they get older, Tim. That's a you problem.
It gets better, yeah. Then all they usually need, like once they hit like after 8 or something like that, then all they need is like a little handheld electrical device like a Nintendo DS. But one thing I thought was thinking about, yeah, and then they're fine. They're just fine. Just say they got that. But it was one thing that was kind of neat when I used to do cowboy action shooting. There used to be patterns for like cowboy belts, and there was one style of belt that was hollow on the inside. And like the cowboys used to, like, they put all their silver dollars in their belt, and then as you pass the belt through, that like it goes through and seals off the end as you pass it into the buckle.
Okay.
And so that, and I just think if you think the practicality of that, like a cowboy generally would have his 6-shooter and ammunition on that belt. So like if he had that belt off, he was fucked anyway. So he had all his money and his gun and ammo all on one belt, which is
Everything
pretty
is
cool.
important.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure that's entirely applicable, but all right, I'll go with it.
Well, I'm just saying, like you should really, if you don't have silver in your belt, then you're a fucking idiot. But
yeah,
you're carrying around $150, but like what's going to happen when the dollar collapses?
That you need to do an immediate trade with.
Well, I
doesn't
think
have
the
ability to like verify like legit silver and probably wouldn't
Way
accept
silver.
it.
I know that's for the
I think that the concept
doomer
is,
autistes out there.
like, our paper money's not going to devalue that quickly. Like, you'll be able to get home,
right,
and
and
then a week later it'll be useless.
that's my thing. Like, okay, so we have like a major weather event, like a series of tornadoes, because that recently happened, and all the point of sale machines at the gas station go down because the internet's broken in my town, right? It's for those situations, right? Because I can go in and I can say, look, I have government currency. It has the Queen's picture on it. Take it and give me gas. Right? Like,
Yeah, but you could do that with maple syrup or smoked salmon. Like,
but not as readily. Not right
Yeah,
now.
I-
I'm not worried about like in 6 months when there's
Neither of those store as well in a wallet either.
right, and this is the problem. Is like it's easy for me to carry $200 cash in the event that I ever need it. People are going to take it until cash is good. At which point, well, that's when we have to talk about how many 10,000 rounds of ammo is appropriate to keep in your house or not. Because I'm sure trading 22 sooner than I'm trading anything else. Right? It's like I can take my gold bricks, but like, who's going to validate my gold bricks or what I say they are? Nobody I know knows how to do that.
Basement?
Did my internet die?
just a cut, tiny cut.
Airbnb? My internet's dead.
Drop the gold in some water, see how much room it displaces.
Yeah. Simple.
So, okay, so aside from you guys, but that's what I mean. Like, I don't think anybody else is going to know how to trade anything of value. But I don't know that that's entirely appropriate to the things I keep in my truck either, because I don't keep gold and silver in my truck. I keep those in my basement where they're safe, next to my booze.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is there any other things that you guys keep or that you guys think you should be keeping in your vehicle?
Oh,
I was gone for a little bit of the conversation, but some form of fire.
Yep. I keep. I always. Well, I use a butane lighter because we always do burns for waste material at work, so it's always just kind of there. If you were to for anything otherwise, like a butane canister can leak, whereas the tried and trusted, proven matches probably the way to go. It's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Like all of these things that we talk about, it's one of the reasons why I brought it up when we were talking about guns. It was money invested, because you have to understand that a vehicle is not a climate controlled environment. So the firearm that you're going to keep in your vehicle could be subject to rapid changes in climatic environments, and then therefore be subject to condensation and rust. So the amount of money you have invested in that truck gun is a factor for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And likewise,
yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to throw in there, Tim?
I was just going to say, again, and the more you oil that gun to avoid corrosion, the more you're going to run into freezing problems in the wintertime. So,
yes, absolutely. So there's that. So the cost factor is always, it's ever present. Money you spend on X is money that you can't spend on Y. It's that simple. So waterproof matches, just get some like Redbird waterproof matches you can get for like $250 for like $500 at the grocery store. Maybe one won't work, but if you take 3 and strike them against the strike face, one of them will light and it will ignite the sulfur on the other 2 matches. It'll work.
I'm with Tyler on that. Most of the stuff that I keep has at least one purpose. The exception to that is fire starting and light. I keep at least 2 things in the truck in my work bag I have a lighter, and in the truck I keep matches. So between the 2 things, I have 2 things that I can light on fire.
Redundancy is good.
Well, redundancy is good and bad, right? Like, I don't want to carry like 8 things to make fire with, but I don't want to have one and then have it fail.
If you carry a Streamlight, like 330 lumen flashlight and a magnifying glass, you're covered for fire.
I tell you, stuff you will use regardless of a catastrophic event or not. Like things like if you guys are shooting or doing outdoorsy shit, like leather gloves, band-aids, earplugs. Like these are things you will use regularly anyway. Other things you can use, like if you have nothing in your truck and you just took a Ziploc bag or a freezer bag and put in a flashlight, spare batteries, a lighter, band-aids, and a chocolate bar or some sort of energy bar or a couple of energy bars and a bottle of water, you would have more. You would have stuff that you would actually use that within like 3 months. Like you would use one of those, I guarantee it. Like,
100%. And I mean, again, going back to because I keep. So let me run down my work bag, I guess, for the listening audience if they've stuck with us this long. I carry a 511 Rush backpack. You can buy it through Ragnarok Tactical. Let me know what color you want it in, and I'll order you the appropriate kind. So in my work bag, I keep my work shit. And aside from my work shit, I keep a 1 liter bottle of water that's always full when I leave the house or when I leave the office. It doesn't go into the truck unless it's full. I keep 2 Cliff Bars. I keep 600 calories worth of trail mix. I keep a good flashlight. I think it's a Phoenix PDA 35. It's in the other room. I could Google it, but I'm not going to. I keep a good flashlight, a set of spare batteries for my good flashlight, a means of starting fire.
Can I interject real quick about your flashlight? What type of batteries does it take?
Rechargeable AA batteries.
Excellent answer. The AA.
Why? Because AA is super common. I have
you get them anywhere. You can break into somebody's house and take them out of somebody's remote control.
Exactly. AAs are easy to come by. it's the most it's probably the most common battery. I don't know if it is or not, but the batteries are in the light. Spare batteries are in the bag. Batteries get rotated at least once a year.
Yep, that's why I wanted to interject there, because in my vehicle I keep a Streamlight ProTac, and it takes 2 AA batteries.
Yep, and I mean I'm all for CR123 and stuff. Like they're a great battery. They're great lights. But
great when you have access to like a logistic chain.
Right, and that's the thing. CR123 is great until you don't have any.
Exactly.
Here's a little ghetto trick with regards to batteries. You can go to a dollar store and you can look at their different little solar lights. And when no one's looking, just kind of pop one open, find out what kind of battery it takes. That little rechargeable battery in there is usually a takeoff of a AAA or a AA, or sometimes they do a little shortened AA. But like you can, and I have tried, I ran with my multimeter, you can recharge alkaline batteries or like NiCads.
Mm-hmm.
And so like like if you had you can take a solar light and you can get a charge into an alkaline battery in an emergency situation. And for like $2, that's like a low cost kind of thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but it will work.
Yeah,
better than nothing.
Yep.
Let me keep running through my bag here. What else we have? We have stuff to charge the phone. I have a spare battery bank, 25,000 milliamp hour battery in my work bag to charge my phone with. That's always charged and has a solar cell on it. It will take forever to charge by solar, but
oh yeah,
it'll
definitely.
charge.
I've got one of those.
But I keep it charged because I use it at work frequently because I'm regularly in a place that doesn't have power outlets.
Same story, man. Until we get actual power on the site, I'm at the mercy of, whatever.
So every day that it gets used, I go home and get charged that night. If it doesn't get used for a couple of weeks, it goes on the charger at the end of the month and make sure it's full. What else do we keep in the bag? We keep the complete IFAC, pressure dressings, tourniquets, chest seals, gloves, Sharpie, tourniquets. All that crap goes in the IFAC. What else is in there? We talked about food. We talked about fire. We talked about water. I think that's all the stuff that is in my backpack. And that's all stuff that, like, every day. Because weird shit happens at work sometimes. And, like, when you get hungry and it sucks, or one of your guys gets hungry and he's not doing his job, you throw him a power bar and everything is better. Right? So, I mean, like, to Tim's point, this is stuff that gets used. Or, like, crawling around and stuff at work and it's like, gee, I really wish I had a flashlight. Oh, yeah, there's one in my bag. Good thing I have this because I need it for work. Right? Or like you drop crap in the parking lot at 2 a.m. leaving the bar. Well, you're probably not going to your bar to drink with my work bag, but same idea.
Like your car keys. Like your car keys.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you ever drop your car keys?
The example is a pocket knife. I mean, everyone here carries pocket knife. Probably everybody uses their pocket knife every single day.
Every single day.
I carry a pocket knife in my pocket, and then I carry a multi-tool with 2 knives on it in my bag.
And if you work around people that don't carry a knife, I don't understand how they're constantly like trying to do stuff, and you're like, here, you like hand the knife and open shit for them and do something. It's just like, I don't understand how you guys function through life without having.
Yeah. I was at the grocery store yesterday, and I had to use my pocket knife, like at the till. I'm like, I don't know how people get through their lives every single day without a knife.
Right.
Yeah, because it's one of those, like, to us, and that's one of those things, I didn't even think about it, because it's something that I always have. I shouldn't say that. I'm currently without a knife because I had to travel through the airport today. But in my checked luggage in the other room, I have the knife I'm going to carry tomorrow, and I have my multi-tool that I'm going to carry tomorrow, because I had to be disarmed to go through the gay airport. But now that I've done that ordeal, I can arm myself with my pocket knife again. Like,
let me point out real quick to the listeners that the Streamlight ProTac 2 AA light that I keep in my vehicle is currently on Amazon.ca for $56.50 with free shipping for Prime members. It's very affordable. Very affordable. It's not some crazy, outlandish, high performance, price that prices normal people out of the market. It's very affordable. 155 lumens. You can go way beyond that. I use a Surefire G2X Pro for kind of harder use, and I bought that because I went to DS Tactical in New Westminster, BC, and I said I want a good quality weapons light, and the guy whipped one out of his pocket and then immediately threw it as hard as he could onto the floor. And it made a very, very loud thud, and it bounced very, very far. And then he picked it up, and then he just started flashing it everywhere. And he says, I have absolute confidence in this light. I said, I want that one.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And if you're going to have a firearm in your vehicle, if you're going to decide to be like one of us and keep a truck gun,
have confidence in it,
or a family sedan gun, or whatever it is, get a light that you are able to use and ideally mounts on that firearm, because it doesn't help you to be able to shoot things if you can't see those things.
And if we're talking pistol, if you don't know how to manipulate a handheld light and a pistol at the same time, you need to fix yourself.
Oh,
get a weapons-mounted light, or practice.
Practice. Well, with any of these things, practice. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, when was the last time that you had to jump a car? And I mean, for everybody on this panel, I expect you all know how to jump a car without having to look it up.
Like a month ago.
Right. But go and look at your family members or friends who are not us and ask them if they know how to jump.
I did discover at one point that a Volkswagen is surprisingly hard to jump start.
Yeah, because we don't know where the negative post is.
But now...
Because some dickhead started drinking in his driveway with his headlights left on, and when his wife points out that the lights are still on, he assumes that it's just like the running lights and they'll turn off in 5 minutes, but they were actually like the running lights.
But like, I don't know how many. I've probably left work. So I've been in the same office for about 5 years, and I've probably left work about 5 times in that period of time, where somebody can't figure out how to get their car to turn on because they did something dumb and drained the battery. And I work with a bunch of really smart engineers, and they don't know how to jumpstart their cars because that's not the kind of engineers they do. You want them to build something, like they're all for that, but jumpstarting a car, beyond their abilities.
Dude, electricity is like one of the simplest sciences.
I don't, but unless it's one of the, so that's what I'm trying to encourage the listeners that if you don't know where the negative port, where the negative terminal for your battery is, because you have a 2014 Volkswagen Golf.
It's 2009.
So if you own a 2009 Volkswagen Golf and you don't know where the negative post is, go figure that out now while you're not stressed out.
Yeah,
dude,
like
just try to find the battery on that bastard.
Yeah, I did that with.
It's like buried under 3 plates with like proprietary fasteners.
We had an HHR, and you just when you just go like I've jumped a lot of cars, but like we had this HHR, and like when you just hook it up the way you think it should be hooked up, you actually blow your power steering fuse, which is like a $45 fuse.
Oh.
It's a real piss off.
Yeah,
like
some
Google
cars
it, like
for that shit.
Yeah.
Right, but that's why, like, these are all things that are, like, to us, it's common sense, but to other people, like, go figure out how to jumpstart your car now, so when it's 2 in the morning and pissing rain, and it's -2, you know how to do it.
Yeah. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. You guys go to your car.
Everybody go see if they can jumpstart their car right now.
Andrew says...
No, and I mean, okay, so this is probably ridiculous, but I have a rental car today. I picked up a rental car from the airport when I landed. Did my walk around, checked everything. Went and checked the tire pressure on all the tires. Opened the hood, and the guy came over from Mavis, and he's like, "Sir, are you all right?" I'm like, "Yep, just checking the oil." He's like, "It's fine." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure it is, but human error, just checking." It's like, okay. And didn't you know that it's like, the oil is at the minimum acceptable level in the rental car I had today?
Thank God, eh?
Well, so I asked it.
If it was any lower.
You give me a different car, or can you put another quart in it?
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, it's fine." I'm like, "No, it's at the minimum mark on the thing. Like, I understand it's at the minimum, but like,
yeah,
throw me a quart of oil, or give me a different car."
This just in: workers who don't give a shit get paid the same amount.
Right, that's what I mean. Probably overkill, and I probably don't need it. But for a week, this is my car, and I need it to get me places. And that could be the fuck out of a problem if there's one that comes up. Right? So yeah, it's probably overkill to do this sort of thing, but these things are habitual for people who are prepared, and you should be prepared because these things, like, I don't need the engine to blow up in this rental car while I'm trying to drive to work because it would inconvenience my day. I sure don't need it to blow up because we had a spontaneous tsunami and I needed to get the hell out of Vancouver. It's like, do the basic maintenance.
Yeah, this isn't. Yeah, like this is like I remember we touched on it last over a year ago in March 2017. Like hundreds of drivers spent the night on their cars in a highway in Quebec.
Yeah, and that's just do
like the
maintenance so that when the bad things happen, you're inconvenienced rather than dead.
So a $24 camp stove like that you just bolt onto a propane cylinder and a can of chunky soup and a can opener, and that guy you would be king amongst all those people,
Right, and that's what I mean. Like I would rather be temporarily inconvenienced in eating my chunky soup off my propane stove than freezing cold and starving.
Yeah, for 12 hours. So,
right? So like, yeah, it's probably not necessary that I check the rental cars over before I get them because that's somebody's job. They're supposed to be good to go. But today, and I mean, this happens, and it's probably not the end of the world, but like some guy did the minimum because that's all that he's required to do. And that, unfortunately, most of the things that we deal with in our day-to-day lives, some other guy got paid to do the minimum, and that's what he did, the minimum. So do the extra step. Make sure you have the jumper cables. Make sure the oil's topped up. Make sure you know when the last time it was that you changed the oil. Make sure that you have the winter time stuff. Make sure that the batteries in your flashlight are good. I mean, we should probably just do like whole checklists for people of like how to Canada. How to
Canada. Yeah. Here's a tip. Here's a quick tip. Start using all your damn summer washer fluid. If you put summer washer fluid in your car, you got to use that shit up and get some minus 40 shit in there before the snow comes.
Yeah.
Or your washer fluid will burst and crack your washer fluid reservoir.
Yeah. Put the winter washer fluid in. Change the air filter on your furnace. Like, just do the minimum, guys. I'm sure our listeners already do more than the minimum because they're listening to us. But like,
yeah, we're preaching to the choir.
Tell your friends. Buy your friend a flashlight for Christmas so that they have a flashlight for their car. Show your kid how to check the air pressure in their tires. Right? Like, do these.
Yep. My kids know how to do that. I have them fill up my tires.
Like, if it's an inconvenience, that's fine. But like, if it's an actual emergency, I don't want to deal with an inconvenience because now I'm in a really bad situation. Do the things to be prepared, to be a little bit more prepared than everybody else. Because what did Tim just say? The man with the can of chunky soup is king.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because that dude that had what's a can of soup? That's 300, maybe 400 calories tops. Can't be more than that. But that's 400 calories more than that guy had than everybody else that was stuck on that road.
Yeah. Oh, a nice big can of chicken corn chowder would be awesome after like when you're stuck in the highway for 12 hours.
Yeah. Like that guy's king of the highway.
Yeah. He's getting blowies for like a couple of spoons of soup.
BRB, you have to buy soup.
Yeah. First you get the soup. Then you get the women.
All right. I don't have anything else. We should probably do other stuff at some point because this was a good, if not informative, discussion. Right?
Yeah, I'm done, boys. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Rapid fire? Or are we just calling it?
No. Let's do some rapid fire feedback real quick. Rapid fire feedback this week from Chris. Thank you for your podcast and what you believe in. I believe conservatives are under attack as well as all of our freedom. In North America, there's a great divide politically. The left plays dirty. Unfortunately, they have the power and resources to attain their goal. They have the kids, next gen, and the mainstream media. I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall when I see the left get away with everything possible evil and the right taken to the cleaners on accusations. Again, thanks for all you do, and I will be listening. Well, thanks for listening, Chris. Also, we the media now. 2 emails from Todd. Same Todd, 2 emails. First one is gun ban, etc. Cheer up, guys. When I went through this BS in the 90s with Alan the Cock Rock and his strap-on dominatrix Wendy Sunshine Sukier and Bill C-68, they passed the bill and there was massive non-compliance. This may be our Lexington Concord moment. That, too, was over the possession of arms. At some point, we just have to say no. There is no point in trying to rationalize with them. You saw that at the, quotes, town hall. They're going to use their muscle to push through. Our firearms organization leaders have to find their balls and just say, no, we are not going to comply. A few displays of our resolve will have the libtards shitting their pants. With an elephant, apologies. We are an elephant and they are a mouse. If we willingly accept this, we deserve our fate. I mean, yes, but also I don't see this being, if they prohibit the 858 and the Swiss arms, which I expect is what's going to happen, I don't expect to see massive non-compliance. I expect to see some non-compliance, but I don't expect that everyone with Swiss arms is going to fail to do something legal with them. This is the problem. Being the most law-abiding group of Canadians, we tend to abide the laws.
Yeah, and especially if they go towards like a semi-automatic and handgun ban type of thing. Well, they're already all registered, so pretty difficult to non-comply.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see the non-compliance, but it would be difficult. In the same vein, another message from Todd. Handgun ban. The premise of the proposed handgun and assault rifle ban is that a statistically significant number of legally acquired firearms make their way into illegal channels. It has been proven false, but of course the Liberals still repeat the lie. If we carried their flawed logic further, we could also say that a statistically significant amount of gun crime is committed by people of color. Therefore, would it not be more efficient to ban people of color from owning firearms?
Yes.
I mean, yes, but that's probably not the answer we should go with. Of course, you would hear the gnashing of teeth and see Liberals rolling on the floor, foaming at the mouth at the suggestion of this. And I agree, it is needless discrimination. Just as gun owners who have submitted to extreme vetting and certification in order to possess firearms, I think we have a good legal claim on discrimination. I don't think we do. We're not a protected class. We're not a visible minority. We're not a protected religious group. So I disagree, but I also think that if you live in Toronto, particularly if you're an individual of color in Toronto, you should be prohibited from owning firearms because you're statistically more likely to commit the crime. But that sort of logic doesn't work because of the world in which we live.
He's not wrong in that he's just like he's not calling for a ban on blacks. It's just an example of the fact that you can't extrapolate minority of a subgroup to be the can't extrapolate that out to the entire.
Yes, applying something to a subset doesn't apply it to the entire population. I get that because statistics and it's the way it works. But I mean, really, if you wanted to prevent people from dying in Canada, you can ban pools and cleaning chemicals because more people die of those than they do of guns. But this isn't about banning guns. This is banning freedom. Right? So if we wanted to ban people with a propensity for committing violent crime, then yes, banning people who are of a certain skin color, that would, because they tend to get caught more frequently and do more crime.
Let's just say this. If we wanted to reduce the amount of crime, we probably would not cut our drugs and gangs units.
Yeah, that's the better solution.
Well, if you look at historically, there was an excellent article about the history of carding in Canada, and back I think it was the year that they always refer to that had the lowest homicide rate in Toronto, like for decades. They did like 219,000 something like that spot checks where they stop people and do that one of those carding checks.
Yeah. The racist carding check.
The racist carding check. So, but now they've done away with that. I think in this year they've done like one in the first half of 2018, and we're having an incredibly violent, summer. So, I don't think it had so much to do with race, but it certainly was the police were using intuition and body language and stuff like that, and just like how people would react when they suddenly see a police officer, and they and by handicapping police and not letting them pursue that intuitive idea is not really a good idea. Like they're just hampering policing. So, and we're reaping that with the greater violence in the cities. So.
I have nothing to add to that.
So thanks for the feedback. That was always nice to get some feedback.
Yeah, I do enjoy the feedback. Let's do the outro. Tyler, where can everybody find you when you're not on CPP?
You can find him muted.
All right, Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at facebook.com/Tim'sGoodTshirts. And I've just been so busy at work lately, I haven't really been doing anything, but hopefully that seems to be coming to an end and I can get some projects started again. So
good stuff. Marty, where can everybody find the show?
And visit us, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, Facebook.com/CanadianPatriotPodcast. Or as always, you can send us your feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback.
I don't know. Cut out a bunch. I assume you're done. As always, you should buy stuff from me at Ragnarok Tactical. Get plates, get body armor, get your firearms accessories. I promise it's a good time.
Tyler, where can people find you?
Find me? You can find me like once every 6 months on this show, and maybe less frequently on my own show. Liberty Death. The Liberty Death podcast is released whenever the hell we feel like it, and that is very infrequently because we're both busy family men. And I don't know what Matt's up to in his otherwise free time, but I like to go shooting in my time. So I've been quite the busy gentleman, busying myself with my new Marlin 1894 Cowboy and my Stag 10 308.
And your new wife.
Also my new wife, but my life is otherwise unchanged.
Right on. Anybody got any other closing remarks?
Nope.
Excellent.
Dead air.
Buy a can of soup.
I have a good news. If you don't say anything when there's dead air, the app will just cut that out and the listeners won't notice.
Well, I'm aware.
For just $1 an episode, you too can have the white space edited from your episode.
I edit a podcast. I know how it works.
I even edited on the one that's not behind the paywall already. Also, get behind the
God
paywall.
damn it! You gotta give them something.
Yeah, pay $5, get a T-shirt. That's my best advice. Or whatever the tier is where Gavin draws you a picture. The Gavin pictures are always good content.
Yeah, they're good.
All right. I don't have anything else. Rod Giltaka would not let me into his house today, even though I am in BC. I'm a little sad about that. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true north, strong and free.
It's probably because you weren't willing to talk like immense amounts of shit about Ontario.
Somebody should turn off the live thing.
Okay.
I mean, we're always willing to talk shit about Ontario.
Yes.